How you doing? So last week I went to Madrid and just to do the tourist thing, get away from England, you know. But I wanted to shoot a modeling video on this street called Calle Gran Via. I've always wanted to shoot a kind of modeling slash fashion slash fragrance type video because this street is just gorgeous. There's some amazing architecture, stunning buildings and stuff like that. And I've had this vision in my head for quite a while now. So I thought I'd have a chance to do it when I was out in Madrid. So I jumped on a Facebook group, modeling Facebook group in Madrid, got myself a model, and on the day I was flying back out to England in the morning before my flight, we shot this video real quick, 2-3 hours, and it turned out really well. So it's only a minute long video, so I'm gonna show you the video now, and then after that we're gonna jump on Premiere and I'm gonna show you exactly how I graded it. All right, so before we jump onto Premiere, I just want to quickly cover the tech specs, you know, the gear I used to make this video. So I shot it with the Panasonic GH5, completely handheld, because I didn't take a suitcase to Spain. So I just took literally my camera and one lens, which is a new lens that I've just got, which is this Zeiss Distagon 28mm f2 ZE lens, and I'm telling you, this is the best lens I've ever used in my entire life. This lens is based off an old Contax 28mm f2 design, which has got a nickname called the Hollywood lens. Quite why it's got that nickname, I don't know, but people rave about that lens, and this is essentially the same lens, just a newer version. It's the same design apparently, optically really no different, and this lens just gives you this 3D pop to the image. Like the subject you're focusing on really just pops out the frame more, like it's like a look I haven't seen with any other lens, and I absolutely love this lens. It's not cheap, but it's worth it. I sold 3 other lenses to get this lens, and I'm glad I did. I'm never selling this lens. This is going to be on my camera pretty much all the time these days. So yeah, and I'm going to get the 50mm version of this f1.4 too. So yeah, so the video was shot with just the GH5 handheld with this new Zeiss. All right, so let's jump on Premiere and let's run through the grading process. All right, so here we are in the finished edit, and probably one of the first things you're gonna notice is this is not log, obviously I mentioned earlier, it's Sign D. So there's still a fair amount of contrast, well, color, saturation, should I say, and contrast in the shot. Each project's different and I treat them that way. I shoot log a lot of the time, but on this one I didn't. So anyway, first thing I always do is find one sort of hero shot, if you like, that I'm going to use as the foundation for all the grades that I do. So the first thing I did on this shot was I wanted to give it put a look on there and then tweak that look as I'm going forward. So go to color. I went down to the creative tab. I'm not using any plugins on this or LUTs, I'm just using all the stuff built into Lumetri. And I went through these stocks, the Kodak and Fuji stocks. And after I went through them, I remember I settled on the top one, which is the 3510. So I add that on there, and already that's a decent look, but it's still not as punchy as I like it. So I went into basic correction, got my scopes up here. I think from memory, I boosted the highlights, gave the shot more contrast, and countered those highlights with shadows. And I'm just doing this by eye. I mean, I'm checking my scopes to make sure I'm not crushing my blacks. In fact, I'll raise those up a tiny bit, just to make sure they're off the line. I mean, the clouds up here are pushing close to 100, but that's fine. And then what else did I do from there? Yeah, the sky I found between shots, like say for this shot, for example, is quite grey. This shot again is fairly grey. So this shot here is kind of overexposed, but I wanted to get the exposure on the model correct, so I didn't really care about the background. I mean, this is where shooting log would have helped, but hey ho, you know, I shot it the way I shot it, so I don't particularly care. I don't get like stressed out about blown out highlights when they're not really that important to the scene, and you see that in professional Hollywood movies. Just don't stress yourself out too much about it anyway. So yeah, looking for, yeah, so like the sky in this shot, for example, is a different kind of blue. I mean, you're going to get that because the angles that you're shooting at, it's gonna really give you a different color cast in the sky depending on which way you're facing. But I wanted to try and even that out and make the sky more kind of tealy, if you like. So let's go back to this shot again, this one here. So to do that, I use the HSL secondary and I switch on to color grader. Right there, something like that. Give it some blur, denoise it a little bit. And yeah, so I was just pulling down the correction sort of in the teals here. So let's have a look at that. So before, after, and then I was desaturating a bit because I didn't want it to be too kind of stylistic. I really just wanted this modeling video to be quite clean, really, and not over the top on the colors. I am generally very into doing saturated grades, but for this particular one, I wanted it to be more like, I say, like a high-end fragrance commercial, and I didn't want it to be too like OTT, really, I suppose. So that's about, I think, where I got it in the actual edit. It's there or thereabouts, and most importantly, to me, in my eyes, it looks good. So let's have a look before, after. It is a fairly big improvement to say. All I've done really is put a creative look over it, a film stock, and then just played around my basic correction. And then if we just turn the sky off and on, it's before, and that's after. Again, it's a slight change. It's just gone from kind of a normal blue to a bit more of a tealy blue, which I tend to prefer. So what I would generally do then is I'd save that still out to the desktop, put it there. Let's make sure I'm still recording, yeah. And then I would grab that still, bring it into my project, and then I would keep that in the source window here, so that when I jump onto my next shot, say I'm doing this shot here, now I've got a visual look. Now I know I've only just got CC 2019 because I'm a bit of a Luddite and I don't upgrade my software that often. I know you can do a match shot or something in Premiere these days, but I haven't actually tried it out yet. I still tend to do things manually. I need to find out how that works and figure out how to do that. So now I'm just going to jump into this shot and I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to go creative and put that on there like so. I can already see this is looking warmer, so I'm just going to cool that off a little bit. About there, looks about right. And then I'm going to push up my contrast again, highlights again. Let's counteract that with shadows. Not too much on this one because her face is already quite heavily in shadow. So yeah, I want to do the sky again. So again, I'm just going to quickly let's have a look. All right, that's looking good. Again, let's bring it down into teal. It's way oversaturated. Let's go back to that shot there. So I'm just going to bring my saturation down. Probably need to push that slightly over the more blue. Yeah, that looks about right to me. So if I look at this shot and I look at this shot on the right, they're pretty well matched in my opinion. Yeah, actually there was one more thing that I used on this video, and I really recommend this if you're doing kind of fashion type work, or if you're working with actresses, or in general. I think it's a nice little plugin. It's part of the Magic Bullet suite, and it's called Cosmo. I'll whack that on there. I mean, yeah, you can see when I put that on there, it's a bit overkill, so I was going to turn down. You've got options here: skin squeeze, skin soften. So I'm just going to turn that down to 15% instead of 25, because she's got great skin already. So yeah, if you just look at that off and on, it just nicely smooths out, but you can still see the detail, so it's not looking fake, you know. All right, thanks for watching this video. Hope you got something out of it. You know, like I said in the video, it's not the most complicated stylistic grade, but I didn't want that for this video. I wanted something nice and clean. I just wanted to use the colors that I got in the location, because it's such a superb location. Why mess with it, you know? Why sort of go overboard on the look? So anyway, yeah, if you got something from this video, great. If not, give it a thumbs down, you know, I don't care. I'll see you on the next one.